Fallout Equestria Survivors Guild, Chapter 6, Crystal City. There is no formula for success, except perhaps an unconditional acceptance of life and what it brings. Arthur Rubinstein. It was cold. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I was expecting. We were in what was left of the Crystal Empire after all. I swear, I could even feel it through my cold weather gear as the caravan we were traveling with headed north towards Crystal City. I wound up talking with the head of the caravan, a pony named Cap Stash, who told me what little he knew about the Crystal Wasteland. Apparently this has been the first target of the Enclave Remnant when they came out of hiding almost 10 years ago. A general named Marigold had tried to take over, but had been stopped by a cyber pony mare, and the forces had been pushed out of the region. More recently, there had been the reports I had heard about the changelings making their return into the Crystal Wasteland to attempt to take things over. Trade had pretty much seized to the north out of paranoia over the takeover, but they had also been stopped, this time by a group of ponies calling themselves the Crystal Crusaders. You know, I kinda had a wonder about that. Did they name themselves after me and my friends or something? I made a mental note to learn more about them once I made it to Crystal City at the very least.
You know, you take me to the nicest places,
Arclight said sarcastically, and I chuckled a little at that as I looked over her.
How do ponies even live in this place? Well, the same way they live everywhere else,
I said with a shrug.
One day at a time, working together to survive. Yeah, I suppose you're right,
Ark commented as she shivered a little bit.
Was it like this before the megaspells? A little,
I said with a shrug as I checked my Pitbuck's map. We were still a little ways away from Crystal City.
Most of it was kept warm with the Crystal Heart, so I wonder what happened to that. So, what do you think Crystal City is like?
Ark asked.
Who knows? Maybe it's made out of an old buckball stadium or something,
I commented.
That's a rather odd thing to say,
Ark said, and I just shrugged as we continued towards the city. Crystal City was built around the old castle at the center of the Empire's capital, with a few more buildings being used as well as a wall constructed around the city. When the caravan arrived, we got out of the wagon and started out into the city, and I adjusted my hat a little. I noticed that a lot of ponies were giving me weird looks and whispering to each other.
Do I have something on my face or something?
I asked, looking at Arclight.
No, maybe you're gonna get punched again,
Ark said.
Is that gonna become like a recurring thing or something? I have no idea,
I admitted and stopped to talk to one of the inhabitants.
Excuse me, we're looking for the mayor's office. Can you tell us where that is? Just go to the old castle, it's towards the top,
the mayor said, looking at me strangely before heading off, muttering something to herself.
Jeez, what did you even do to these ponies?
Ark asked.
Honestly, I really have no idea. The stables in this area were relatively benign,
I said in confusion.
Let's see if we can find the mayor.
Something about the city felt weird to me. It wasn't even hate or disgust that I saw when they looked at me. It was almost excitement. Like the ponies were happy to see me instead of angry or just ignoring me. But something about this was strange. Looking back, I probably should have questioned it more when I arrived, but I just let it pass. It was probably nothing anyway. It's not like I had been to this part of Equestria in the last 200 years.
Hey, I'm gonna see about getting us somewhere to stay while we're here,
Ark said as we entered the large castle.
Now, try not to cause any trouble, okay? Hey, I don't cause trouble, it finds me,
I said, and I rolled my eyes as I started heading up the stairs towards the mayor's office.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but Mayor Cream isn't in the city right now,
the receptionist said without looking up at me.
She traveled to Ponyville with her daughter and the Crystal Crusaders just a few days ago. Darn it! Okay, how long until they return?
I asked. I was a little disappointed, but I could wait if I had to.
The train should arrive tomorrow,
is the answer.
If you need to talk to some pony, you can talk with Butter...
That's when she looked up at me and her eyes went wide and she got a good look at me.
But how? You left with... How are you here?
The receptionist asked.
What are you talking about?
I asked confused. Something about all of this was weird and I was gonna get to the bottom of it.
Is this related to how every pony has been treating me? I think I can answer that, Scootaloo.
A mayor's voice said from the door, and I turned to see a white unicorn with a yellow mane with a pair of cybernetic hind legs.
Do you mind coming inside?
I nodded and entered. It was a pretty nice office with a few pictures here and there of who I assumed was the mayor or the other ponies. I took a seat across from the desk as the cyber pony mayor sat down nearby.
I'm sorry for the reception you got. Things had to have been confusing. My name is Butterscotch Candy,
she said with a smile and offered a hoof which I shook.
So, what, are you a clone of the original Scootaloo? No, I'm the real thing.
I said, and I was still a little confused, but I told her my story and she listened and nodded.
Can I see your hind legs?
She asked, and I blinked a little but moved my coat so they were visible.
Okay, I need to explain something. The reason why ponies have been reacting to you like this is because you've been here before. Well, you from another world. You, Sweetie Belle and Applebloom stopped the changeling invasion.
I wasn't really sure what to make of that. It kind of made perfect sense, though, based on the way ponies had been looking at me. This was the one place in Equestria where no pony would look at me like a villain, and I had no idea what to think about that.
So, why are you looking for my sister?
Butterscotch asked.
It's, well, it's a long story,
I said as I told her how I had wound up here and the files that we had taken from the Enclave.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know what Vanilla's gonna say to that.
Butterscotch said as she looked a little bit surprised.
Serenity is part of the family, but she's a little bit wild, especially since the changeling invasion. Well, I guess some things run in the family,
I said with a light chuckle.
Oh, you have no idea.
The next day I'd come back to the mayor's office to wait for Vanilla, but honestly, I had no idea what I was going to say. I had traveled around Equestria for over a year now, trying to find out what had happened to my family. After all this time, here I was, waiting to talk to the pony who had taken in my descendant after the death of her parents. And I had no idea what I was going to tell her. Was she going to be worried that I was going to take her away? Would she be afraid of how Serenity was going to react? I had come so far to try and find the filly. I couldn't take her away from the family she already had. I know that I wouldn't want the same to be done to me. I just wish that Rainbow Dash was here to help me, or Twilight, or any pony really that could give me some advice. I'd worked so hard to get this far in my journey. I had friends, I had allies, but I wasn't sure how much help they would be. I closed my eyes and took out my earbuds, and tuned into DJ Pone 3's station and listened to the music for a while before the door opened.
Butterscotch said you wanted to talk to me?
A mare said from the door, and I looked over to see a yellow-colored unicorn with a white mane and a pair of cybernetic wings, and a metal spine who looked at me curiously.
Yeah, well, it's a long story,
I said.
I'm looking for Serenity. I'd like to talk to her about... well, it's a long story. I see,
Vanilla said as she looked at me strangely.
So, why do you even want to talk to my daughter?
I paused for a long moment before removing my hat. If I was going to do this, I might as well be completely honest. Vanilla gasped and covered her muzzle with her hoof when she saw who I was.
I've been looking for her for a while now. She's my descendant, and I've been wanting to find any of my surviving family ever since I woke up. But how?
Vanilla asked.
You're Equestria Scootaloo, right? What? How are you still alive? Rainbow Dash, she saved me. She put me in a magical stasis chamber so I would be healed,
I said sadly.
I just woke up last year and I've been traveling around since then in hopes to find answers about what happened to my family. I found genealogical records from the Grand Pegasus Enclave which said that Serenity was my descendant, so I brought them with you if you wanted to check. Vanilla took a look at the records when I gave her the holotape that Cypher had given me. She sighed lightly when she finished reading the files and I gave it back. Well, this is a lot to take in,
she admitted.
I found Serenity when she was just a baby after the Enclave left her behind in Stable 81, and I've been taking care of her ever since. She's a good kid, but she's in a fragile position right now because she had become so close to the Crusaders and the other you. So you're worried about how she'll react?
I said, and nodded in understanding.
I mean, I can wait if I have to. I don't want to hurt her.
Vanilla paused for a long moment before sighing a little.
Serenity has never really known her family. I can't promise that she'll want to meet you, but let me talk to her at her apartment, okay?
She has her own apartment?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Vanilla led me through the halls of the castle and stopped just before one hallway. She asked me to wait while she went to talk with Serenity. I closed my eyes and waited for her to return. This was more nerve-wracking than anything else I had ever experienced before. Going into battle, that was a piece of cake compared to what I was about to do. It was weird, but this was what I had come here for. So, was I doing the right thing?
She's ready,
Vanilla said, and she poked her head out of the room.
Come on in.
I headed into the apartment. It was actually pretty nice. The pony who lived here had made sure that it was all set up so a filly could get to everything easily.
Scootaloo? Is that you?
A small voice asked, and I looked to see a gold Pegasus filly with a short, messy red mane, and tail looking up at me curiously.
I thought you went back home. How did you get back so fast? Serenity, this is our world, Scootaloo,
Vanilla said, which made Serenity's ears perk up in surprise.
There's something that she wanted to tell you. What is it?
She asked, looking up at me.
Serenity, before I was exiled from above the clouds, I had a daughter,
I said, rubbing my foreleg a little.
I've spent my time looking for any descendants she had, and I'm one of them?
Serenity asked as tears started to well up in her eyes.
So, you're my ancestor?
I nodded slowly as she looked in between me and Vanilla.
I need some time to process this,
she said, and walked into the adjoining bedroom. I closed my eyes and started crying. I had no idea what to do now.
So, it didn't go well,
Ark asked as we sat down for dinner.
Yeah, I guess she's still recovering from the Crusaders leaving,
I said with a sigh.
Honestly, I don't know what to do. Well, what if you were in her position? What would you want the pony to do?
Ark asked.
Well, I suppose I want to have time to adjust and process what they told me,
I said with a light sigh as I took a drink of opal cherry.
That's what I'm gonna have to do, I guess. I'm honestly really worried about her. I know,
Ark said with a sigh.
But if she's anything like you, then I think she'll be okay. Just give her some time. Yeah, I know,
I said as I took a bite.
Honestly, I don't even know what to do when I'm done here. I might stay in Crystal City, but we have to find your friend still.
Ark paused for a moment.
Scootaloo, look, if you want to stay in Crystal City with your family, don't let me stop you. I can find caramel corn on my own. We can always come visit you or something. We'll see, I guess,
I said with a shrug.
Honestly, I'm still not sure about this whole thing with the Enclave still out there. I'd like to keep traveling with you, but we'll see, I guess. Okay,
Ark said.
So, why don't you tell me more about life before the war? Oh, the stories I could tell,
I said with a smile as we finished eating and put our food away before we started talking. We exchanged stories long into the night about our respective fullhoods. I couldn't help but smile at the little stories of Ark and Caramel getting into trouble with their parents and the overmare growing up. I was starting to see why Ark wanted to find this mare so badly. They had been closer to each other than most friends could ever be. They reminded me a bit of me and the other Crusaders, best friends that could transcend time and distance. It was actually nice to know that even if I hadn't given Stable 66 the best conditions that they still had managed to thrive and be happy for a time, I knew that if any pony could track down the Enclave and find Caramel, it would be Ark. Maybe, just maybe, my journey was finally over.
Good night, Ark,
I said as I laid in my bed.
Good night, Scootaloo,
Ark said and drifted off to sleep. I smiled and closed my eyes and fell asleep not long after. I blinked and looked around. It took me a moment to realize that I was back in my office as stable tech. There was a few more notes on my desk of possible experiment ideas for stables and lists of ponies for various stables. Then there was a knock on the door.
Come in. Hey, Scootaloo,
a familiar voice said, and I looked up to see Rainbow Dash walking in dressed with her Shadow Bolt's uniform.
Is this a bad time? Oh, no, it's fine,
I said with a smile as I got up and trotted over to her and hugged her tightly.
I haven't seen you in forever. Yeah, sorry. I'm only back here for Eureka's experiment,
Rain said, and I frowned a little. Rainbow Dash had been the first of the Ministry mares to supply her genetic material for Project Legacy during the war. This was my memory of when she had come to talk to me about it. So why was I dreaming about this all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah, Project Legacy. He said you had agreed to that,
I said with a slight shake of my head.
I don't understand it, honestly. I mean, it feels too much like he's trying to use eugenics or something. Why did you even agree to this? It's hard to explain, Scootaloo,
Rainbow said with a sigh.
I have seen a lot during this war, and I'm not immortal. As awesome as that would be, but Project Legacy is gonna give ponies in the future a chance to survive if the worst happens, to help ponies that need it. I'm not saying I agree with Eureka's ideas, but I understand that they're needed sometimes. I guess you're right,
I said, and I added with a chuckle.
Kind of funny, really. Guess this means I'll have a little sister out there somewhere. Yeah.
Rainbow said with a light chuckle before giving me a hug.
I'm really sorry that I haven't been there for you, but I'm really, really proud of you. You and your friends, they have done great things for Equestria's future. A lot more than the rest of us have. Well, if you say so. Sometimes I just wish that the war would be over tomorrow so this whole thing would have just been a waste of bits,
I said as I hugged her back.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but that's not likely to happen,
Rainbow said with a sigh.
Just promise me that whatever happens, you'll keep yourself safe, Scootaloo. I care about you, and I want you to be okay. I promise,
I said, and I released a hug.
Just remember, Scootaloo, family is the most important thing, no matter what.
I opened my eyes at that moment, Rainbow Dash's words still ringing in my ears. I laid back and smiled a little, glancing over at the sleeping Arclight. It was strange, but that dream felt like it was exactly what I needed. I smiled and closed my eyes, going back to sleep.
Caramel. Right there.
Arc muttered in her sleep before I drifted off to sleep again. I really didn't want to think about what she was dreaming about. A couple days had passed before Vanilla said that Serenity was ready to talk to me again. I found myself standing outside of her apartment. I had to wonder a bit about that for a moment. Just how did a filly her age get an apartment and was living on her own? Did Vanilla even approve of this, or did she just give Serenity her own space? I was thinking way too much about this. Was I trying to put this off? I took a deep breath and knocked onto the door. After a moment, Serenity opened it and looked up at me with a smile.
Oh, hey Scootaloo, come on in,
she said and let me answer.
I'm sorry about the other day. It's just, it was strange to think about you as being family. After all this time I spent with your human world's counterpart, she was like my big sister, and I've really been missing her a lot. It's okay, I completely understand, I said with a soft smile as we sat down onto the old couch. Serenity, I'm really sorry for all of this. I really am. I didn't think about how you might react when I found you. Oh, it's okay. I kind of understand where you're coming from, Serenity admitted as she rubbed the back of her head a little. After I found out that I was adopted, I started thinking more and more about my family. I mean, I didn't exactly go on a journey around Equestria looking for any pony, but I just wanted to know. Yeah, I get that, I said with a sad smile. So, what was she like? The other me, I mean. She was brave and strong, but at the same time, she was kind and caring, Serenity said with a sigh as she leaned over and picked up a picture of herself with ponies that looked like me and my friends. She helped me a lot. She gave me the confidence I needed to come out of my shell and to help save Equestria from the changelings. She ultimately just wanted to keep Equestria safe, and she did. You miss them, don't you? I asked sadly as I wrapped a wing gently around the filly. Yeah, I do, she said with a sigh. I know they're back home, but sometimes I just wonder if I should have gone with them. But what about Vanilla and Butterscotch? They seem to care a lot about you, I pointed out. Wouldn't they miss you? Yeah, probably, she said with a sigh. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like Vanilla's too protective of me. Yeah, I had a foster family that tended to do that, I said with a nod. But just know that it's because she loves you. I know, but I just wish that she wouldn't treat me like a foal so much. I helped fight off an invasion. I have my cutie mark for crying out loud, but I'm still treated like a foal. Yeah, she definitely reminded me of myself when I was her age. I guess that you had to grow up so fast in the wasteland, even if it meant that things weren't easy for your family. I'd always been independent, you just had to be when you grew up like me, but I had never really done anything remotely close to what Serenity had. I wondered what she would do later in life if she had already done this much when she was just a filly. You don't have to grow up so fast, you know, I said. Though, I have to say, you've got a really nice setup here. Yeah, and this used to be the Crusader's apartment, so it's kind of big, Serenity said with a shrug. I know, it's a bit strange, but I just want to hold on to some part of them. Oh, I completely understand, I said with a smile as I ruffled the filly's mane gently. You know, You're lucky, Serenity. You have ponies that love you and care about you, even if they don't always show it. I just wish that I had a family like yours growing up. Oh, did you lose your parents too? Yeah, when I was just a little filly. I had to be on my own for most of my foalhood, I said with a little sigh. I made friends, good ponies who didn't care about me being an orphan or being flightless. When Rainbow Dash adopted me, it was the happiest day of my life, but I let it go. Family is the most important thing in the world, but it's not about blood. It's about ponies that care about you and the ponies you care about. I know I'm not the same Scootaloo you knew before, but I promise you that I will do my best to be there for you, like she was.
Serenity looked at me thoughtfully for a moment before she smiled and nodded.
Thank you, Scootaloo. That really helped a little bit. You're welcome, Serenity,
I said, and I hugged her gently. Serenity waited a moment longer before she hugged back.
I couldn't be more proud of you for what you've done. Thanks, Scootaloo. That really does mean a lot to me.
We just stayed there for a long moment as we held the hug. It felt right somehow, and I was glad to have found her.